somebody had a birthday at the weekend. How was it?
It was it was really nice, and it was sort of preceded by a weekend where I was working in Dublin and Belfast, and I did a show called The Craig Doyle Show.
What, are you 58?
Shut... I'm not even bothered about my age anyway, Carol. Carol loves it, but I've just picked ahead of it. Anyway, so I went to...
52.
52. Thanks, Carol.
Yeah.
Thank you. I went to lovely...
41 and a half.
Oh, bless you.
No, I meant 51 and a half.
Ah, you see. Anyway, would you like me to talk, or would you just like to
Yeah, no, we want to hear about what you did.
So I went to Ireland, and I had a lovely weekend, did the Craig Doyle Show, and Kim Marsh was on it, and lovely Johnny Vegas, who's loved up with the Dublin girls, so he was really happy, and Barry McGuigan. So it was lovely to see all of them. And it was just the things that the people in Dublin say, which I just love, because I love the accent, even though I'm not very good at it. But I'd just been in the car telling them this story of years ago when Tim was first well known off Auf Wiedersehen Pet, and he'd been to Dublin, and he was sat on this park bench reading a newspaper, and this woman had come past him this way, she came past him that way, and she went right up to him and said, "It's no good pretending you don't know who you are." Just as I was telling them this story, I was in the car, me and Gary, who was driving me, and we were driving along, and we knew that we had to get over the bridge to get to this hotel. So eventually we couldn't find it. Sat-nav was going all over the place, so we pulled down the window and said, "Excuse me, can you tell us how to get to that hotel, because we know we're on the wrong side?" And the guy went, "Oh, no, you don't want to be starting from here." I just absolutely love Ireland. Then we went over to Belfast, which was great, and then went straight to Newcastle, and I was staying at the Vermont, looking over all the bridges, my favourite site in the world, and all my family came in, and we just had a nice little party, a nice birthday dinner, and I went to bed respectably, sort of sober, at about 1:15 in the morning, which I thought was
lovely. We'd all like to say happy birthday, Denise. Happy birthday, Denise.
Happy birthday, you made it to 52.
Now, Denise, seeing as you're 41 and a half, you might want to think about this. Britney Spears fans usually give her a warm reception, but her latest plans might leave them cold. It's been reported that Britney is taken by the idea of cryogenetic freezing and wants to be frozen after her death. She hopes that one day she can be brought back to life in the future. So, do you like the idea of sort of putting yourself on ice and then coming back in the future, Denise?
I do. I'd like to be sort of welcomed back with a warm hand on my entrance, as they say. Back into the land of the living. Yeah. Well, I think I've often thought about this, because I would like to come back just to see the horror of technology, I suppose, because I'm someone who still wants the phone in the hall with the curly wire like that.
It's horrible for you now, isn't it,
technology? Well, it's really freaking me out, technology, now. I mean, really is. I just want it to stop and not go any further. So I'm quite interested, when you think, say, over the past century, how, you know, people would never have thought what was going on now. It would be nice just to sort of peek down and maybe keep Britney a little bit of company. Yeah. So I would like to... I don't want to see how people have aged, and I don't really think that I would like to see my children aged 80 or whatever they would be. I just would like to come and see how technology would then go back. So I wouldn't want to come back and stay here, not just with me and Britney.
So you would sort of come back generically, rather than, say, come back and go, "Curry!" on, you know, any of your descendants.
Yeah, I don't understand that word, but yes, I would.
Now, don't take this the wrong way, because I'm actually not being negative, and I'm not being pessimistic, but...
No, because that would be so unlike you.
But, seriously, no, I wouldn't want that at all, because for two reasons. And the first one is that I either think that man is going to destroy the planet completely within, you know, a fairly short space of time. You know, and I've said this before, and I'm not being, you know, it's not going to happen in my lifetime, so I'm not that worried about it.
I just had my garden done.
Which is why I'm not coming back.
Well,
no, because I do think there's a problem with the planet. I don't necessarily buy the whole man-made global warming, you know, theory.
But you absolutely don't buy that.
No, I don't. But I do believe that man is plundering the planet to an extent that it will wear it out, and man will then then have to, you know, give up because there won't be anything to live on. And, you know, and I know they find new things all the time, but I honestly do think that that might be a problem one day. Probably thousands of years in the future.
I think it'll be thousands of years in the future.
Well, I don't know, we'd hope so, but that's just the way I see it. Or the other thing is, because of all this activity that's been going on, you know, there's so many volcanoes and massive earthquakes and tsunamis and all sorts of stuff like that. There is a lot, actually, if you look historically at what's going on. And I don't know, but I've got this thing that I just imagine that one day the Earth is going to implode and there will be... Because planets do that all the time.
Don't people tune into this show to cheer themselves up?
I'm not being pessimistic. I'm just trying to think, actually, what would be happening in the future, you know? Or man might wipe themselves out with some giant nuclear war, and the only thing that will be left when you come back will be cockroaches. So it'll just be you and a cockroach.
Yeah.
All right, mate?
It'll be me and Brittany and a cockroach.
Don't you also think that these creatures, these human beings are quite weak creatures, and that they will wear themselves out very shortly? Because we're quite weak, aren't we? I mean, we're not very strong creatures, not like the dinosaurs or anything.
No,
so...
but we're also too clever, you know.
Yeah,
we
by half.
Things. Yeah, a man is too clever, and it keeps inventing things that is bypassing nature. And I think if you bypass nature too much, in the end, you kind of destroy it.
But would you come, the question is still, would you come back, though?
Well, I mean, my favourite film is Back to the Future. Don't you love those films? And so that's fantasy world, isn't it? You know, I'd love to have that car, and I'd like to nip back and nip full when I could, you know, when I've got a few hours to spare, so I could see what happened then. Time traveller. I think that's just fun. If they can invent... They probably have invented time travelling, to be honest. But I'd love to go into the future. And then I'd like to go into the future, obviously, to see your children and things. And then when you see things going wrong, nip back, put it right. So when you go back again, it's all right.
But that's going to cause a problem, though. So say you go... Say you go like a couple of...
If Sherry was going back to put things right, let's be honest.
Well, it would, but
why would it?
But say you went to the future, you know, 1,000 years, and you know, what I see as the future has happened, and the planet is destroyed, and there is nothing to eat, there's no energy left, there's nothing.
Right.
Well, now, what would you do? What would you do? Would you go back and warn people? Because if you did go back and warn people, they certainly would not listen to you, and then you'd be, like, so helpless that what would you do?
And also,
you'd know.
Imagine if everybody was doing that, if everybody was nipping back and forth, just changing things, you know. Somebody could be in our future now from the past, and then, bloop, you would disappear because you weren't in there. It would all get really confusing.
You know, like, if you look back when you were young, say, for instance, say 60s and 70s, and you look forward to 2010, what did we think was going to be here in 2010?
Yeah.
Aliens and flying through the sky in cars.
Wow, do you remember?
Maybe you are an alien, which is what we've already thought.
Peace, I say.
OK, well, for now, we're